coast to coast, it's your hosts, the Lombardi Leap and Mersey FB. This is Beyond the Frozen Tundra.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, just me, Lombardi, here today. Mercy is out on some vacation. You know, time of the year, I know it's March, getting into April. We are officially 1 month away from draft week at the time of recording this episode here on the 23rd. Getting excited here as we kind of look at some of the Packers prospects, hear about these top 30 visits. But today, we are going to finally talk about the Packers coaching staff changes. Again, kind of getting into it more because they officially did announce their coaching staff coming up here. This was on March 19th. A little bit earlier. I was kind of surprised. I know they've had a habit of waiting until April for these kind of things, but it seems like they wanted to get down to it. We talked about some of these guys in the previous episodes here. Obviously, Jeff Hafley. Best of luck to him down in Miami. He built his staff down there. Jonathan Gannon takes over, former Arizona Cardinals head coach, as well as the former defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, doing a 3-year stint, one of which would ended up in a Super Bowl appearance there as well. It's interesting here as we kind of get into this. We'll kind of note that it looks like the Packers are shifting back to a 3-4 after 2 years, which if they're shifting back to a 3-4, they are gonna need a big run stuffing nose tackle. And I'll kind of get into it eventually as to why it looks like they're switching back to a 3-4. I know people are probably thinking, oh no, Preston Smith in coverage, or in this case, Micah Parsons, but we'll get into that here. In addition to Jonathan Gannon brought in Bobby Babich, former Bills defensive coordinator. Honestly, like a really good DB coach. He is the secondary and passing game coordinator. You can think of like Micah Hyde and Jordan Pryor. Both of them had all-pro years underneath him, Bobby Babich, as a secondary coach. So he has experience with linebackers. I mean, he really has experience with the whole defense, but specifically, I do think he excels at defensive backs here moving forward. The big thing he's going to emphasize here is coverage disguises. One of the things that we did see that was really lacking in the secondary was communication. I think Bobby Babich really does bring that here. Another gentleman who brings the communication, the technique, and consistency is Daniel Bullocks here. He comes out of the 49er system, which has been realistically one of the most consistent defenses in the NFL here the past couple of years especially. And we know Matt LaFleur has his Shanahan connections, to say the least. Some really good defensive backs there. Renardo Green, Leonardo Demore, I think his name is. Another good pair of defensive backs there. Linebacker coach Sam Safikis. Interesting kind of pickup here. We kind of briefly talked about him a little bit. It's really cool that he is actually a Wisconsin native, just to kind of go back to that. Went to high school in Oconomowoc. So good old Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Went to UW La Crosse. He is the former defensive coordinator of the Virginia Tech. So again, what you're kind of see these hires here all have experience leading defenses. So there's a lot of guys with some hefty experience here on the back end. And here we have our first promotion here. Vincent Ogabase was promoted from assistant defensive line coach to the defensive line coach. Kind of interesting there. And this kind of gets into the whole welcome back to the 3-4 because DeMarcus Covington is still on the team. I know he had some interest as a defensive coordinator, but he did get a pretty big promotion, I'd say, to kind of keep him here in Green Bay. They made him the outside linebacker coach, which you don't need an outside linebacker coach unless you're switching back to a 3-4. He is now the run game coordinator as well. And they did give him the assistant head coach title. So, yeah, pretty interesting to see that. Definitely going to be impacting that front structure and going to have a lot more to do with the edge discipline, run fit consistencies kind of lining up here, which is going to be big for the Gannon defense. Really interesting to see that they kind of broke those positions up because he was the D-line coach, so they gave him the promotion to assistant head coach, made him the run game coordinator, and they made him the outside linebacker coach. Like I just said, you don't really need an outside linebacker coach if you're not switching back to a 3-4. Like, realistically, I mean, I'm not really sure why you would. Like, I mean, overall, though, there isn't going to be that much of a difference. I mean, just because of the fact that most NFL teams they play base nickel anyways. That's where they spend a majority of their time. They use the 4-man front. Like, they're gonna do 2 off-ball linebackers, 5 defensive backs. That's gonna be 80% of the game. That's what they're gonna do. But they also now might be looking to kind of go back to that 3-man interior. They could bring some penny fronts here that they did use under Joe Barry. I know people are like, "Oh, no, not this again." But in order for them to even do that, like, they do need a bigger run-stuffing nose tackle, guy who's consistent. I mean, Javon Hargrave can do it in the 4-man nickel fronts, but early down, probably not the best place for him. It is really gonna be interesting to see who they look at in the NFL draft, especially at these defensive tackles, and in this draft too. Listen to it, I believe, last episode or the episode before that, we did talk about some defensive tackles who do fit that scheme for the Packers here moving forward. Another kind of change here, they did bring in Scott Futches as a defensive analyst. Interesting thing about him, he does have some O-line experience there. Was at Kansas Athletics too as well, offensive line coach. So bringing him in to kind of add a little bit more of an offensive mind to help prepare the defense there. And Will Smart, Jamal Lett, defensive quality and control coaches here moving forward. Offensive side of the ball, we did not see much change at all. At least not any major changes, I would say. As I know a lot of people were either had very, very mixed feelings about. Matt LaFleur is back. We do not know the contract that he did get yet, as far as I'm aware, at the time of recording this episode. So Matt LaFleur back as the head coach, which I mean, again, realistically, a lot of people may not like it. I'll kind of give my opinion here on this moving forward. I was very, very split on whether or not I thought he should come back. I thought about when we hired Matt LaFleur, the changes there. We came off a down year under Mike McCarthy. Matt LaFleur comes in. Boom, we took that next step immediately. Or Matt LaFleur comes in, we take that next step. Completely flips the organization around in terms of what was going on. Aaron Rodgers goes on to have 2 MVP seasons. Fortunately, we did fall short in that time period. And then on top of that, too, like Matt LaFleur did in essence see us through a rebuild along with Brian Gutekunst. Like I have my qualms with Brian Gutekunst. I have my qualms with Matt LaFleur. I will say that. I will be upfront and honest about that. I'm mixed. I'm still kind of mixed. Like I understand the logic in bringing Matt LaFleur back. A lot of people may not like the logic, but it does make sense. Like, yeah, you're extending him. If the team falls on their face and don't have the same bad injury luck, especially along the offensive line like they did last year, which again, I'll get into that here moving forward once we talk about the offensive line coach and their reasoning behind it. I think that it's a different ball game with Zach Tom in there. I get the logic there. They have a window. It is now a lot of the coaches out there, they were either gonna have to wait for, especially with Seattle. And I know people want to argue, oh well, it's Green Bay, people will wait. It's just not how the NFL works. Like if a job's open, a lot of people tend to take it, like rather than waiting. So the coaching rotunda this year wasn't that great. The only guy who I thought could potentially do better, but even that's kind of you're still gambling, I would say, would be Kubiak. I mean, obviously, he did win a Super Bowl with Seattle, so he does have that Super Bowl winning experience there. He's a younger coach. I mean, what that offense did with Sam Darnold was really good, but the Packers did decide to keep Matt LaFleur. Again, I understand it. They wanted that continuity. You tend to get set back a year once you do switch a head coach because you're integrating a new system. Now, this is use the mantra here, a younger team. I know we don't like using that excuse. So I don't think a new head coach would necessarily been as damaging to our record as people might think or our playoff chances moving forward. But again, I do understand why the Packers decided to keep Matt LaFleur, keep the continuity moving forward here. Matt LaFleur's job is, I think there is still a little bit of a hot seat. I would say even more than a little bit, to be honest. Like I know people will look at that contract, look at the contract, oh, an extension, and say, okay, he's in here for a while. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I think that you can't have necessarily the same year again, and I think a lot's going to be riding on this Jonathan Gannon hire too as well. This defense needs to perform because this is another guy Matt LaFleur's bringing in. It worked well with Jeff Halfley. Now bring it back. Jonathan Gannon's going back to DC. He was the head coach there, but he wasn't the DC at Arizona. A lot of stuff went wrong. A lot of stuff went right. Players loved him, though. That we do know based on the report card stuff. The next hiring here that was expected, I don't know how I feel about it. Honestly, I'm kind of like Matt. I feel the same way about Matt LaFleur like I do about Luke Getsy. I'm glad Luke Getsy isn't a head coach. I'm glad he's not an offensive coordinator. I'm fine with him being the quarterback coach. I wish they would have kept Sean Mannion. I wish they would have gotten rid of Adam Stenavich and kept Sean Mannion. 100%. I think Sean Mannion is clearly the league thinks very highly of him. And as such, he is now the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, unfortunately. Now, with Luke Getsy, he's the QB coach. He also got the associate head coach role. So we have one head coach, two associate head coaches, one on offense, one on defense, which, might not be such a bad thing, all things considered. Just kind of thinking about this out loud here. One of the things that people kind of critique Matt LaFleur for, and even like this, Jeff Halfley maybe a little bit for, was I know clock management is typically on the head of the head coach here in the offense, but there were some personnel issues, substitutions on defense. Now, granted, his defensive tackle room was Jeff Halfley's defensive tackle was absolutely obliterated, but I think having an associate head coach in both those rooms here is going to take some of the load off of both of these coaches. And like I said, as much as I am glad Luke Getsy isn't calling plays, I do think he's a very good quarterback coach. And I think he could be on the level of like Nathaniel Hackett. What I mean by that is everybody's like, oh, Nathaniel Hackett's not that great. Nathaniel Hackett was very, very, very good at communicating what Matt LaFleur wanted in his offense. And I think Luke Getsy is that kind of a coach here. I don't think he's necessarily good in his own right as an offensive coordinator. I think he has the potential to be that Nathaniel Hackett type role in being able to communicate what Matt LaFleur is trying to do for this offense moving forward. One of my favorite hires, though, is the wide receiver coach, Noah Pauley. Man, am I excited for this. Like we talked about him a little bit before, but Coach Christian Watson, get ready. Christian Watson's going to have a breakout year. I completely would not shock me at all whatsoever. Iowa State had two of my favorite wide receivers in the last draft, Jaden Higgins and Noel. I wanted them so bad. But we got Matthew Golden. Should be happy with that. And he was set to be the Penn State head coach, and now he is the wide receiver coach for the Green Bay Packers. So if it's one thing that I do expect is this wide receiver room, I expect the drops to go away. Even more so, we know Jaden Reed had that one. Big one when it mattered, as well as I expect to see a massive leap from Matthew Golden, our first-round wide receiver pick. In addition to that, too, like Christian Watson. I mean, you look at that Michael Pierce deal out of the Indianapolis wide receiver. I think Christian Watson, if they don't extend him soon, might be looking to make some money here under Noah Pauley as well. Like he's really known. He's very development heavy. Packers would have guessed that. Strong fundamentals again. And then they did promote Rob Grosso. He is just internal hire here. Just has some real coaching experience. Just primarily mentoring athletes in various positions. Like he's just kind of grown into the role here as a wide receivers coach. No big issue, no big promotion. The big deal here is just getting Noah Pauley. That's the big thing here. And then another assistant internal promotion here. Or they hired on, I should say, T.C. McCartney. He's the former QB coach of the Patriots. He has experience with quarterbacks, so he'll probably go in there with this to me is kind of like the Sean Mannion-esque hire here. Not necessarily an assistant QB coach, but again, he was a San Francisco 49ers quality and control coach, graduate assistant at LSU for a year, went back to San Francisco. So again, you're getting a guy who has that San Francisco connection. Quarterback coach under New England, Drake May connection there too as well. Just another good guy to add to the room. And as a side note too, BCS national champion, went to LSU 2007, 2010. Not too bad at all. So you get some more championship experience in there. And then all in all though, like Adam Stenavich is back, which blows my mind. Like it really does blow my mind that Adam Stenavich is back on this offense, or even Luke Butkus. I mean, maybe Luke Butkus not as much. And here's why with Luke Butkus. Luke Butkus dealt with a lot of injuries in the offensive line. I mean, Jordan Morgan was injured his rookie year, came in this year. Packers wanted to go with Rasheed Walker. Zach Tom got hurt. We didn't have a real center. Jacob Monk got hurt and needed a year of development, realistically speaking. If he is even a viable center at this point, I don't know. I liked him a lot. I thought there was potential there. I thought he needed a couple years. Hasn't really shown much, and he hasn't showed up because, again, dealing with injuries. Elton Jenkins, not that center experience was a bad idea. Didn't like it. Hated it. Don't ever want to do that again. Well, we're not doing it ever again because he is now a Cleveland Brown. Then on top of that, too, like Sean Ryan comes in and he was, I did not like it at center. Packers obviously did because they extended him, but he at least has the ability to play guard as well. The Packers still have that flexibility to take a center in the draft. One falls to them. This offensive line is, again, this offensive line is going to dictate how far this team goes. A lot of people may disagree with me. I will refer to the Denver Broncos tape. I will refer to the Bears film as well on this. Rasheed Walker specifically had a bad year. Really, really bad year. As a 7th-round pick, you got tons of value for him. And I think it was evident by what Rasheed Walker got in free agency. He got a $4 million deal. That's it. That's all Rasheed Walker got. It was a $4 million deal. They couldn't slide Jordan Morgan over to left tackle because Elton Jenkins was at center, got hurt because they had to move Sean Ryan over to center. So, which means it's either Jordan Morgan, which they did play him at guard, but then Zach Tom got hurt. So then Jordan Morgan had to go play right tackle. So now you had an offensive line of Rasheed Walker, Banks, Sean Ryan, Anthony Belton, Jordan Morgan. All those guys are legitimately playing out of position on the right side, or they're playing the position for the first time. Anthony Belton, left tackle throughout college, moved to right guard, rookie. Has to learn how to do that. I think the offseason should help. Jordan Morgan, left tackle, through and through, left tackle, through and through. Rasheed Walker ain't playing anything but left tackle, and he wasn't playing it well. He was getting chips galore, still wasn't helping him. I mean, a lot of you remember Jordan Run. Yeah, we didn't like that experience as well. And then just getting absolutely destroyed against the Bears as well. Was not a good end of the year for him, especially. Cost him a lot of money. Aaron Banks trying to help out Rasheed Walker all the time, so that way his quarterback doesn't get obliterated. And then Sean Ryan, guard, moved to center. So he's dealing with that now. Now he's trying to do center stuff. Give him the off. I'm willing to give him the off season. I would still think they should drive to center to compete with him. Wouldn't be shocked if that center beats him out. It's not that bad of a deal for Sean Ryan, anyways. But give Sean Ryan the off season. Practice at center. See where it goes from there. All these injuries, all these moving parts, tons of moving parts. I think the current offensive line makeup of including Rasheed Walker, Banks, Sean Ryan, Belton, and Zach Tom only played like 138 snaps together last year, which is ridiculous. So we'll get to see, hopefully, everyone can stay healthy, what this offensive line can actually do moving forward. That's why they kept Luke Butkus. I don't know why they kept Adam Stenavich, other than just for continuity reasons. I don't know what he does. I'm not the biggest fan of him. Obviously, the league isn't the biggest fan of him because nobody's really interviewing him, and nobody really cares to interview him. So they kept him. I wish they would have went with somebody else. I wish they would have kept Sean Mannion. Fortunately, though, we're not keeping him. Unfortunately, we didn't keep Sean Mannion. We kept Stenavich instead. Special teams pretty much got a big reset here. Cam Achord, former special teams coordinator for the Patriots a couple years back, or a year or two back, and the assistant special teams coordinator of the Giants last year, if I recall. They did a lot. One of the things that Cam Achord is strong about, again, tackling fundamentals, which is what the Packers like, coverage lanes. Packers love that too as well. Just discipline. And interesting enough, they did sign a actual punt returner and kick returner in Sky Moore. So maybe there is a organizational change too on the value of special teams. We'll have to see. Even if the special teams is above average, just like 20s, just 20s, man. It'll be a win in my book. As well as just hoping the kicker will be healthy and actually, hit his kicks like he's supposed to. Biggest thing here, Packers brought in a lot of experience. Babich brings in tons of experience there. Gannon, tons of experience. Daniel Bullock's more experience there. Just a lot of these guys, a lot of these guys that they brought in guys who have experience coaching defense. So our defense has a lot of brains out there. I'm expecting a top 5 defense here moving forward, especially with Micah Parsons coming back. Again, they do have some holes to fill. Cornerback, big need. Right now, everybody knows that Keyshawn Nixon is our CB1. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Carrington Valentine can't tackle to save his life, it seems like, unfortunately. Maybe he fixes that. Maybe he puts on 10 pounds. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I love CV's attitude. I like the fact I do like his ability in coverage, but he just gets bullied a little bit too much. Offensively, like my favorite part of it is the wide receiver coach. I'm excited to see how this wide receiver room is going to light the league up this coming year. I do believe that Jordan Love, I believe, is a top 5 quarterback. To be a homer, I could say top 3, but I'll say top 5 for sure moving forward. Like this is not a new coaching staff, but I do think there is a bit of a new ecosystem within this building here. And the big thing is this is going to get the defense, especially, to buy into what's moving forward, which with guys like Xavier McKinney, Micah Parsons, really being the leaders in that room, specifically moving forward. I mean, we saw how big of a leap Javon Bullard took too, as well, and stepping up, being a vocal guy, becoming a leader on the defense too. There's just a lot there that you really like to see in this defense. I think that Babbage might be one of the most impactful non-DC hires, and I think Getsy kind of really does stabilize that offensive the QB room here moving forward. I really hope that special teams does find their identity. We're going to find out real quick moving forward too as well. But next episode, we are going to be talking about some tight ends here because it is a very deep tight end class, and our tight end room is a bit banged up with Tucker Kraft coming back from a ACL injury early, but he should be back, I'd imagine, by the start of the season. That is all, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
To Packers fans coast to coast, thanks for going beyond the frozen tundra. We appreciate you tuning in. And as always, go Pack Go!